First things first. You're late. Care to explain yourself?
I wanted to save this for the podcast, so
I'm hoping. You text me saying you're on your way. You text me to say you're leaving when you're supposed to be here. So, but that's fine. Not a
that's
problem.
normal, though, isn't it?
But and then you said, "I'll wait and explain for this." Ooh, for this. So unless you bought an M2 or a Porsche product, I don't want to hear it.
Because you're not hearing me turn up.
Go on.
No, it's not that. It's quite the contrary. I'm sure you've probably experienced this before, and I think BMW owners will know this. Okay. It really infuriates me. It's not a nice quirk. It's a complete design flaw, which I don't think they fixed for. I don't know if it still happens these days.
I've got a design flaw to talk about afterwards, so, but go on.
So yeah, any BMW owner that owns a BMW from probably the start of the noughties to the 2020s will know this, that because the doors are bezel-less, the window has to drop down to get in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And at 7 p.m. on an early December night, my car had already frozen over and I couldn't get in. And so I'm stood there for 10 minutes, wiggling the door, trying to get the window to come down because it had frozen.
I have a solution for you.
Go on, him.
I'm going to be plugging products from first minute.
Okay.
There's a product called Vinyl and Rubber Care by Automotive. In the trade, it's called Super Sheen. And if you spray all of your rubbers around doors, so not like your window trims, anything black, your doors and seals around it, spray it with this silicone dressing, basically, they won't freeze.
Really?
Yeah.
Or even like inside the door? Yeah.
So if you just spray all of your rubber, anything where there's contact between the door or window and inside. The sill, so it goes up into like a rubber black sill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you spray and get your inside. Silicone dressing into that, it won't freeze.
I'll have to leave with some.
You've probably got some.
I probably do, actually.
I think I'll sort it out of the bottle. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Do you want to hear my design flaw?
Go on, Em.
So I'm shamefully in the Tesla.
Yeah, preheating it whilst I'm stood out there.
My phone. So I use my phone as the key. I don't take the card with me anywhere. I use the phone. And 9 times out of 10, that is amazing because if I get in on the driver's side, it puts the seat in the steering wheel in my position. And if Amy gets in on the driver's side with her phone, it'll put it in her position. So, and it does all of your accounts. You have like profiles. It's amazing. So I love doing that. I think you can do the same with the cards, but it's great to have your phone in your pocket and just get in. You don't have to tap the card and shit. Great design. Love it. And as a safety feature, we have it so you have to put in a key code when you press the brake pedal to drive anyway, just in case someone steals your phone, they could just steal your car. So super happy with all of that. My phone's about to die and I thought I had a charger cable here and I don't. So I don't know whether, let's say my phone does die. At the moment I'm not using it. It's on about 9%. Yeah. But it's a couple of year old iPhone and battery's pretty shit on it now. So if it dies, I'm hoping my wallet's here and I think I've got the card in it. If so, great, I can get home. Yeah. If it dies, then I can't get in the car. Can I get you to call Amy to on her app, because she can unlock the car? Yeah. Will that then allow me to get in, put the code in and drive it?
Time will tell.
I thought maybe I'll put my phone in the car now and it will charge on the wireless phone charger. Yeah. But I don't think it does unless you're in the car. I don't think you can leave your phone in the truck because then it will just drain the battery right now. I don't know. I need to test it. So potential design flaw / me just being a useless human being. Yeah. Which is probably more what's happened.
It's more on you than the car,
I think so.
But it's like the other week when we got in the car and Amy accidentally clicked software update and you can't cancel the update. So we're just sat in the car.
She didn't click it. She'd scheduled it thinking, obviously we were coming over for drinks. So we were drinking. Amy didn't end up drinking. And so we'd drive home. But she scheduled the update for 2 a.m., which just so happened to be when we left.
I know. How often do you drive a car at 2 a.m.?
Exactly. So we scheduled it for 2 a.m. In most instances, again, this is great. We got in the car at 10 past 2? Something like that. And it looked like it was halfway through the update. Happy days. How long were we sat in the car for?
40 odd minutes.
Nothing you could do. Dead screen other than a loading bar.
It's like a laptop.
Yeah.
You just sat there
Nothing
waiting.
Again, how much of that is the car's fault?
Yeah.
But having said that, combustion engine cars, you don't do an update whereby you can't then use the car.
You just stand outside it waiting for it to defrost.
Interesting topics.
Yeah, 2 errors there for 2 very different cars.
One other talking point before we actually get started.
Go on.
My mother is going through a midlife crisis and wants a sports car.
Good.
Because she's had sporty stuff before.
Yeah.
But she wants, and I was going to ask
you
what,
for a while,
off the top. Yeah, off the top. Yeah, kind of. But now she's like all in, looking at cars. I want to know what you'd come up with because I've come up with loads of ideas and she's turned most of them down.
She'd listen to me, I think.
I reckon she would. From what I can gather, she wants a sports car that feels like she's in something very sporty. She's had lots of big cars, Discoveries, Range Rovers, and she feels not old, but she wants something sporty. It's a midlife crisis, basically.
Yeah.
And she'll freely admit that. So she wants something very sporty, but she wants it to be luxurious enough that it's comfortable and nice, sporty enough and slightly flashy enough that it feels sporty and feels like she's doing a midlife crisis properly.
Yeah.
But yet it has to be automatic and easy enough to drive. It's a hard combo. I want to know, she's come up with 2 cars, one favour over the other, and also sub 50k.
Second hand.
Sub 50k. Can be but not too old. It's too unreliable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tricky. I want to know what you think you could come up with.
See if I can get one of the 2.
Sporty.
Yeah.
But comfortable. It could be 2 seats or 4 seats. Sub 50k, automatic. What are your suggestions? Off the top of your head.
My mind went straight to a Cayman, but I think that's probably not quite comfortable enough. 2
biggest issues I've had so far. I've got a Porsche, so she just writes off everything Porsche.
That's true.
And then with Dad, with the Aston, we sound like absolute cunts. Dad with the Aston, she won't do anything Aston Martin.
I feel so sorry for her. That's true. You've ticked off 2 quite prominent
because you could go for
brands.
50k, you get a lovely 911.
Yeah,
you could get a 991 Carrera S, maybe even better than that. But that would be a fantastic car. But I don't think she'll do it.
No,
because I've got an old Cayman S.
Yeah. Well, that's written off the Cayman then, or a 911. The other one I thought, and it's probably reaching out of that category now, and it's quite full on, was actually an AMG GT. And I don't know how much money they are
because they're comfortable
for a slightly
enough.
older one.
They've dropped massively.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you get one sub 50k though. Maybe Paul Wallace put something up. There was 2.
I saw that. Yeah,
very cheap,
high mileage GT.
Were they 30 odd grand?
It was 30 odd grand. Yeah.
So you might be able to get one for about.
But
50.
it'd be high mileage probably. I think you'd probably be able to get one for 50 grand.
I came up with everything. I went through from Lotus Emira to everything
Lotus.
Porsche. Yeah, she didn't. Yeah, no. Do you want to know what she came up with? The 2
Got it.
F-Type.
That's a good shout. That's a no-brainer. That is. V6.
No, V8.
V8.
Yeah.
V6 not fast enough.
There's me and Dad to influence.
Yeah,
So
true.
if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And this is her favourite one. Bentley Continental GT.
That's
her
her
top
Continental GT.
Yeah, because for 50 grand you get nice. But the problem is, everyone that she's picking that she likes a spec of, because it's my mum, she goes, I like that colour, all those wheels, or whatever.
Yeah.
Is W12. But
She
from
want
what I've
the
heard
V8.
and seen, the V8's the one to go for.
Yeah.
More reliable. I think it's probably a bit lighter. Probably does handle better.
Probably slightly better on maintenance.
And fuel, probably. Not that that's really.
So,
If you're going to buy one.
Not to put her off a Bentley, but I've heard from a couple of people recently at my work that own Bentleys or have owned them. That, I mean, one of them said he thinks it's the most expensive car you can run on the road in terms of maintenance and parts.
I said the same thing, especially with the W12.
Yeah.
Audi R8, I thought was a good shout. So I think F-Type being Audi R8.
I think F-Type's the best bet.
Because for 50 grand, you could probably get a slightly facelifted R8, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or a very nice low mileage.
Depends what you want. You get the V10, couldn't you?
But the older ones, the automatic gearbox is crap, isn't it? Is it R-Tronics rubbish and S-Tronics better? I think so. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
You're digging a bit deep there. I'm not sure.
Interesting, though.
I'm excited for that.
It'd be cool.
She might have the coolest car.
I would say for 12, 18 months, she's been like, oh, I want a sports car. And now she's like, I think she's happening. Feeling old.
Yeah.
Is not to do my
hanging on to her youth.
Yeah, I mean, she's by no means old.
I don't blame her.
But I think it's great. I want to encourage it.
If I might say, actually, I'd say F-Type. V6 or V8, I don't think you can go wrong. But V8's cooler, obviously.
Very.
And there's probably quite a few around.
In some ways, I think that's why the 2-litre 4-pot's done quite well. Because for that exact reason, they don't need 300, 400, 500 brake horsepower. Yeah. What's the all-wheel drive got? 550 brake?
Yeah.
She doesn't need 550 brake.
And gets a bit dangerous in the wet, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the 4-wheel drives, but yeah, still a lot of power. But I think even the 2-litre, I mean, it kind of defeats it. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't do it, but interesting and potentially fun.
Yeah, definitely. You were looking at F-Types at one point, weren't you?
I love an F-Type still.
They're just
speaking of which, have you seen the concept today?
Well, the new Jaguar concept, the 00 or whatever it's called.
00.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? I literally, I saw it. I went to my next customer and there was a convertible E-Type set. And I was like, after seeing it, I was just like, first thing I said to the guys.
Where is it gone?
I said, it's so good to see a Jaguar that looks like a Jaguar. It was just almost too set up. It was amazing to go from seeing that whilst eating my Tesco meal deal to then going to the next stop and seeing an E-Type. And it's just like, oh.
At least you know you'll be cool in the summer considering it's got an aircon ventilation system at the back.
It looks like something out of Star Wars, doesn't it?
It's
not in a good way.
Foggy. That being said, it's kind of a shooting brake shape, isn't it? And I'm a sucker for a shooting brake.
Yeah, but I just don't. It's very futuristic. How similar will the car be to that, do you think?
Probably not very similar. It's always the way, isn't it? The concept cars go a bit wacky and then they reel it in. But I like the side silhouette. If it was black on white, there was no pink car.
I think that doesn't help.
And then, the rear arches are quite bold and
I don't hate it. I'm not absolutely disgusted by it.
The rear end shot for me.
I think I'm disappointed by it.
Yeah.
I don't think
it doesn't make up for the advert.
No, that's a good point. Imagine if they did come someone out that was just like the sexiest, most awesome concept to the point where it's that good looking that you could forgive the fact that it was going to be electric. It was that good looking.
You'd feel so
you'd be
conflicted.
Like, amazing.
Yeah.
You'd be like, tell you what, go for it.
Yeah. I'm still not completely...
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Off the idea of the next phase of Jaguar, but I think it's just all a bit weird.
Also, we're not exactly going to be their new intended target audience, are we?
I mean, looking at that car and obviously what they've said, it seems like they're going for the big boys in terms of...
They're going for the Rolls-Royce market,
Bentley and all them guys, and fair enough. Maybe that's what they need to do.
Let's hope that whatever they do is a good product. That works, and I'm just glad they've made F-Types, and I'm hopefully going to be able to, because it's an attainable car, the F-Type, and it's a lot of power. It's fucking good looking. I think it will always go down as one of the best looking cars, and they made lots of them. So in theory, if you want one, we're going to be able to get our hands on one. So I'm very happy. That's all I care about for now. Jaguar is hopefully an F-Type.
Apart from the Range Rovers being nicked every 5 seconds, they're doing
apparently they've
well
done
as
something
a
about that.
Yeah,
I think they have done something about it. Yeah, I think there's a recall. You can go in and get a free update, but you hear less about it now. I think it was.
You can get insured on them again now.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Should we start the recording? I don't know how many minutes we're in, but
long introduction.
We are. Hello and welcome to the Ditch Finders podcast, born from our insatiable need for more time behind the wheel and endless conversations about cars. Join us as we find every excuse to immerse ourselves in the automotive world. So have you got the notes?
I do. They're on that camera right there.
Mine's going to die. I've got one here.
Yeah.
I've got one here.
I mean, they're fairly basic, aren't
they? I think so. But it's not a bad idea too. Let's go for the first three W's. Who, what, and why. Who are we?
Okay. We should be able to answer that one. I'm Joe. You're Tom.
Yep.
We're from Warwickshire.
We like cars.
And we like cars.
That's probably all it needs to be for now.
As far as our personality
I think we'll
goes.
go into more detail about who we are, what we do, etc. with regards to, as we talk about why we're doing this, which is a nice little segue.
Yeah.
Talk about a bit more, and it will expand hopefully with videos that we do explain a bit more about who we are. For now, what are we doing? I mean, we're sat in a mysterious room with some motorbikes behind us, having a conversation about cars, which in most cases isn't unusual for us. The difference is we've got mics in front of us, we're recording it.
Yeah.
There's a camera there.
Yeah.
And we're going to post it online. And does that summarise it quite nicely?
It's just a more formal excuse to talk about cars.
Yeah. It's a selfish hobby of self-indulgence of all things automotive and cars, and just finding literally any more of an excuse to talk, drive, stroke, cars, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
That's all it is, right? It is just more of an excuse to do any more of that. I don't think we can summarise any better than that.
Yeah.
It's a passion project, it's a hobby, and we've always had something that we tried to work on or play with, and this seems to, or hopefully is going to, combine everything from the podcast side of things and just talking about a passion of ours to recording it, to editing, music, doing some videos, hopefully.
Yeah.
It quite selfishly amuses us in every aspect of things that we love.
Yeah. I think we both have that kind of side hustle in us. Not that it's a hustle. That's the wrong
but it
word.
incorporates that element of it as a little project. As something that we're striving to grow, build, enjoy.
Yeah,
it's everything all in one.
It ticks off different hobbies: filmmaking, talking about cars, driving cars, and the digital side of things. We're both quite
everything
digital.
from coming up with like a little name to a logo, which I don't think we've said yet. Hello and welcome to the Ditch Finders podcast, TDF podcast. We're not sure how we're going to play this yet, but that's the name we've come up with. We went through everything on it. Everything sounded way too serious or cringy if you try and include anything with regards to the automotive world. And so I think Ditch Finders probably is going to accurately represent our level of skill in driving. Yeah. So we're probably going to end up with a few ditches.
Find some,
yeah, I think we've ended up with that. And that is what it is.
It's kind of like just pick a name and go with it.
It's too
we
easy
don't need
to
overthink it. Yeah. If it's a good enough brand and you do good enough stuff, then names just become good.
So we've stuck with that. If you don't like it, tough. So that's what we're doing to a point, and somewhat why, just because we bloody love doing it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's about this passion that we've got, but we don't do too much about it. We like our cars. We take them out a few times every year, but we don't really dig into the world because we don't have good enough excuse.
As we like to.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good idea to talk about where that passion comes from, because it comes from slightly different places for us, and it's ended up in the same place, I'd say.
Yeah.
So initially, for me, it was from a very, very young age. My dad's a petrol head for both cars and motorbikes, probably more so motorbikes, hence this. If you're listening, which nobody probably is, I'm pointing at a load of motorbikes that were sat around. That's where my passion comes from riding motorbikes from a 4-year-old. Then having the opportunity to drive from a very young age, off-road and learn to drive and all those sort of things around farms and all that. nonsense. And then it was massively gaming for me from throughout all of that, from a super young age, and toys and all that sort of stuff. So mine's from a motorbike background that then come into cars and just gone crazy.
Yeah. Mine's not too dissimilar. It's not motorbikes. You've seen me try to ride a motorbike and I didn't fall off, but it didn't go too well. I don't really have that same buzz for motorbikes, but I definitely appreciate them and what you can do on one if you're skillful. But I've always liked cars ever since I was 3 or 4, and I think same with you, gaming. Gran Turismo 3.
We were probably the first generation that could be influenced by gaming and cars, because that's when games started to get good, right?
I think the most influence, you could get to. I don't
think a generation before us, when you're coming into that age, had the same quality of games. So couldn't get as.
I mean, the early 2000s when we were obviously toddlers.
So like mid thousands when we're like 6-7 years old and you can actually game okay, and that would have been PS2 and Xbox.
Yeah, I mean PS1. I think I had one of the first Gran Turismos on PS1.
Really?
And it was, you probably get about 10 pixels on the screen, but
yeah, the first Gran Turismo I had was Gran Turismo 5. I want to say.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I was always
3 and 4 were some of the best.
Really? See, I was Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was No, that was Xbox. But before that was Need for Speed Underground, Midnight Dub Customs. That on PS2 and PSP when that came out.
Yeah, PSP. Well. Yeah, wow. Need for Speed Most Wanted was one of the big ones for me.
And Need for Speed Underground 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
But Need for Speed Most Wanted, that was a game changer.
Yeah, I mean the E46 M3 on that. That single-handedly could be the reason that I'm into cars.
Absolutely. And while we've both got an obsession with E46 M3s,
yeah, probably,
and quite easily I can identify it stems from that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, it's funny really because I've just started playing. I've got my PS2 set up at my flat.
Have you?
And my little gaming den.
Oh, mate.
And it still works, and the controllers work.
I'm coming over.
Yeah, you can come over. Need for Speed Most Wanted, got that, and it turned it on the other week, and it all started running fine. And so it still obviously had my old save, and I only got. Do you remember like the Blacklist? You had like Blacklist 15 all the way down to 1, and Blacklist 1's the guy with the E46 M3. Yeah. And I was on Blacklist 3, so I never actually completed the game. So I've challenged myself to complete this game and finally get that E46 M3. Mate. But it was just something I was playing it the other day, looking through the cars you could buy.
Is it still fun?
It's still fun. It's genuinely a good game. Genuinely, even by today's standard. The quality's crap.
Yeah.
But it's genuinely a good game. And I was sifting through the cars that you could buy. Yeah, you go all the way up to Murcielagos and Carrera GTs, all the coolest stuff in the 2000s.
One era of cars.
But the fact they still picked the E46 M3 as the Blacklist 1 cover car, was just such a cool car back then, wasn't it?
So what year did that come out then? If E46 M3, so that's got to be E46 M3 came out in 2000?
Yeah, I mean there's your generation came in on there, so I think it's
really
2006, 2007.
Must be.
Yeah,
must be. Well, 2006, 2005 must be, because 2005 is the end of the E46 M3 and it's the start of the Cayman. 05 is the very early one.
It must be.
Because I'm sure 06 United 2 M3 begins. 06 to 13, I want to say. I could be wrong. But that sounds about right. It must be 05 then, maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, that was one of the earliest ones as well that got me into it. But anyway, gaming is obviously a big factor for us. And I think for a lot of people.
Yeah,
my brother as well, and
massive. And then when games got very good, so I went through Project Gotham, a little bit of Gran Turismo, but I mainly stayed then Xbox route, and then it was Forza. So Forza Motorsport 3 and 4 I was massively into, because I want to say number 3 had an Audi R8 on the front of it, V8 R8, so I was just obsessed, and then 4 had 458 Italia. The two,
I remember those covers,
some of the biggest. I feel like back in the day, people had their poster cars. I feel like we have game cars. Do you know what I mean? I think our generation went from posters to games.
The one on the front cover was always the latest, coolest model, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So 458 Italia on Forza Motorsport.
I remember do you remember when the R8 came out?
Oh,
it was like a fucking spaceship.
It was like nothing else.
I remember I must have been in year 5 or year 6, and my friend's dad owned a car dealership or something. He basically got his hands on one of the first Audi R8s in the white spec, like the launch spec, and he took me out for a spin in it. And then we came back, drove back through the town, and there were kids like jaws dropping at this new car, thinking, "What the hell is that?"
It still has that impact today.
Yeah,
though.
It still looks brand new.
I remember my dad bought an Audi S4 saloon from Audi Swansea. So we were living in Wales at the time.
Yeah.
And that was very early on as the R8 came out. And I'd never seen one in person. So I'm probably 10, 11 years old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my first, they're out the front, it just come out, parked out front. Honestly, I couldn't pick my jaw off the floor. I couldn't.
No.
It was unbelievable.
It still has somewhat of that effect, doesn't it, these days?
Yeah.
But anyway, digress.
And then, so Forza then Horizon.
Yes.
Is where, for me, it goes next level. Because that incorporates the music, all different types of cars, not just restricted to a track or, whereas a lot of these games, if you think about previous games, you're restricted to the circuit. Whereas it was free, open world. I know some of the early, like, Need for Speed Underground was open world and stuff, but this was just next level with graphics, with noise, with upgrades.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon.
And the fact that it's on a road is more relatable, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Music, the road, the festival. It was like, because I think we were both really getting into music at that point.
Really getting
into
music at that point.
And it's just like a culmination of everything.
So this is then late teens, mid to late teens.
Well, the first Forza Horizon came out when I was probably 12 or 13.
Yeah, but Forza Horizon 2, when we were really
FH2.
playing it, we were 15, 16.
Yeah, 16.
Is when we were really getting into it. And then FH3 was unreal as well. And the more I look back on it, the more I overlook 3 now.
Yeah, we were saying that the other day.
But that's probably the one we played the most.
3?
Yeah, 2 and 3.
Probably, yeah. I think 2 was most iconic with like the hurricane on the Italian.
Because it's like, is it Italian Riviera?
Yeah.
And, South France.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's
cool.
Just, that's our dream, isn't it? And when you come off the boat and are you in a yellow hurricane?
Yeah, yellow hurricane.
Oh,
that's like the closest you can get to.
That's the dream, mate.
To it at that time, isn't it?
And you've got like drum and bass playing.
Yeah.
And you're going along the Italian Riviera, and you're just like, oh my god, you just melt.
Yeah.
And it sounds amazing. So that's when it then kicks up a notch again.
Yeah.
We could talk all day about games.
But I mean, at that point, we're learning to drive, aren't we? 16,
then you're
17.
learning to drive, and then you're playing the music that you got in the games in your car,
in your Vauxhall Astra. Not quite the
same.
same.
On, speaking of which, Ali the Astra.
So
let's go through a little bit of car history since we've got to that point. I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, pretty iconic in our friendship group, isn't it?
Ali the Astra.
Ali the Astra. I wasn't the first to pass my test, but I had this hand-me-down Vauxhall Astra 2004. 1.4.
Nice.
It purred.
Yeah, man.
Not in a good way. I think it was broken. And we're gonna have to find that picture. We'll overlay it on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Of me accidentally drifting it round a roundabout by McDonald's.
Yeah.
On the first day of getting it.
Yeah.
And I hope my mum doesn't listen to this or watch this.
Yeah. We'll overlay the photo. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, I almost ditched my Vauxhall Astra the first day. Maybe that's why we called the ditch finds.
Yeah, like it.
But that was actually a really good car. As a first car.
Did you well, mate?
It's one of you need to have, and anyone learns to drive at the moment, you just get a banger.
Get an absolute shitbox.
Bump it a few times. Learn to, because you learn to drive after you pass your test, don't you?
Absolutely.
So get your banger, run it into the ground for a few years, and then save up and start thinking about some nicer gear.
I think it's crazy when I see these new drivers in 15, 20 grand, 30 grand, new Minis, Fiestas, Fiat 500, all this stuff, and I'm just like, the fact that they're either on PCP or it's madness.
Lord,
the
have
value
mercy
of these
on those
cars,
wheels.
I think it's. I feel like you're going to have so much more of an appreciation and gain more of a bond with a car when it has got
100%.
quirks.
100%, yeah.
Go on then. So you had Ali the Astra for how long?
I couldn't tell you actually. I was probably upwards of 2 years.
I reckon it was closer to 3 or 4.
You might be right, yeah. 3 years, maybe.
At least. Honestly. Then you went to...
Then I went to a R56 Mini Cooper.
That you bought off my dad?
That I bought off your dad.
Yes. He was trading minis at the time.
Yeah.
Yes. That was wicked.
That was a cool... For that, back in at that time, like that was a really cool car because it had all the John Cooper Works GP diffuser,
full body kit. The diffuse was unreal.
Exhaust kit,
everything.
It was a really cool car, and it was in that like electric blue, wasn't it?
Really cool.
Black wheels and stuff. It was it's, by today's standards, it was a bit chavvy.
But no, mate, back in the day, it was just
cool,
on
wasn't
point.
It just was. So I don't know what it was about it.
And then you carried on the Mini vibe.
And then I went up to a much more reliable and newer Mini Cooper S Works 210.
Yeah.
And a lot of people won't know what that is, but it's basically a Mini Cooper S from the factory. That was a 2017 model. Mini Cooper S from the factory, and then the dealer, well, it's a Mini Cooper S with a John Cooper Works body kit, and then the dealer fit a tune to the engine, and then they put the Bluetooth exhaust on. And some badging and whatever.
That exhaust was unbelievable. It sounded like a full-on rally car.
Yeah. So it was like a rally car, wasn't it?
For anyone that hasn't seen one, there's a Bluetooth button that comes with a perfect holder that fits into one of the cup holders. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it's a button that if you double press, it opens the exhaust valve. Yeah. Like you see with these, but it was really cool because you could pull it and it held it was like a grenade.
Yeah.
It was wicked.
Flashbang.
And it turned it into an absolute pop and bang machine. But it sounded, when even you're on it and off it sounded like a rally car.
Yeah. It was so loud.
It was unbelievable.
And so I had that for a couple of years. And I mean, you could, if you wanted, you could literally drive down a high street and people think there would be guns
Shots
going off.
fired.
Genuinely.
It was complete Asbo.
It was so Asbo. And I had to sign a form when I picked it up that I wouldn't open the exhaust on the road. It says for track use only.
It had it on the tag, didn't it? There was like a grenade tag.
Yeah.
It said for track use only, right?
It was like illegal to use it on the road.
And it was quick.
It was. It feels quicker in my current car today just because of the torque.
Yeah.
Such a good car. And I do miss it, but I feel like I've outgrown the Mini now a bit. They are quite small. But if I had room for a couple of cars in the future, I would genuinely consider getting it just for
it was wicked, mate.
The B roads.
Wicked.
So yeah, I had that a couple of years. Do not regret that for a second. And then actually went into a company car.
You went backwards for a bit, didn't you?
I did a bit, yeah. I worked for a dealer group, and I worked under Toyota and Lexus. So they gave me a Corolla. I can't even remember the spec. GR Sport Corolla.
It was quite a high spec.
Yeah, it's top spec,
but not exactly the most exciting.
It's a hybrid Corolla. I mean, going from that Mini.
You had a couple of those, didn't you? You had a red one and then a silver one.
I had a red one and then I had a silver one.
Yeah.
Silver one was 2 litre. That one was a bit faster. But again, let's not talk about Corollas for too long. So I had them for a few years, and I mean, that's just like free motor and it's bliss in that sense.
Yes.
And allowed me to save
But you were itching to get a second like weekend car.
I was
when you had them.
Yeah, but in the end, I couldn't really consider it. Yeah, justify it. But so yeah, I ran those for a few years, and then I'm trying to think now. And then now I'm in my latest car. So I haven't bought that many cars. I've bought more than you, which is a 2010 BMW Z4 23i manual.
It's great, mate. Just needs an exhaust.
It does need an exhaust, but yes, it's 2.5 6-cylinder.
It's a proper car.
It's a good bit of kit, and they fucking look good.
They look great. I think they're aging very well.
Yeah, the M Sport models with the bigger wheels. So it's still, I've had that over a year and a half, and I still look back at it.
That's the key, isn't it? It's that look back test, man.
And it's cheap in the grand scheme.
That era of BMW, and we've said this so many times, and it kind of brings us into the great point of another reason why we're doing this. I feel like, I think we both do, we've lived through what will be the best years of the motor car. So especially for us, from early thousands to late teens, I felt like those 15, 18 years, for me, are the best cars ever made.
Yeah.
I think anything after 2018, anything that we're into is a special edition. And so it's just crazy money and limited numbers and very much unattainable. You can get excited by them. I'm glad they exist, but are we ever going to be able to experience them? Probably not.
No.
A 296 does not interest me whatsoever, but a 458 massively does.
Yeah.
And I think that sums everything up
in terms
with
of
the era of cars and everything. And same with M cars. New M cars, really, I like the M3 Touring because I like a Touring. Otherwise, mid noughties and early teens M cars is all on. I'm all over it.
I was always going to buy a BMW after I went out of a company car, and
yeah,
Z4 seemed like a good fit. It was just a bit
sporty
fun,
as well.
2-door, whilst I can. Do you know what I mean? I needed to get that BMW badge in front of me.
Yeah.
After all the childhood.
And have a straight six.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
No,
so no regrets so far, and it's a really good car. But yeah, I'm kind of itching.
Options next. We're going to continue this slightly.
Things.
What are the next, or what is the next thing you're hoping to get in?
I'm eyeing up a OG BMW M2 next. Great. I'm still on the BMW hype, I'm afraid.
Yeah, man.
I think an OG M2 would be my next bet within the next year, possibly. If I can
love it,
vouch for it.
Do it.
I've been looking at Caymans as well. The gen after yours.
Yeah, man. 981.
But they're a bit more expensive for the kind of ideal spec.
Probably more costly to run.
Yeah.
Probably not as reliable.
So I think M2 would be what I'll go for, but who knows? I change my mind every week probably between now and then.
Happy, mate.
Run us through yours.
I, like you, had a hand-me-down with my first car.
Bit better than mine.
With both my parents quite like the cars. And so the school run car was a 2004 Audi A3 2-litre FSI. So it was naturally aspirated, 6-speed, full sport line body kit, wheels.
It was cool.
It was wicked.
Really cool.
It was cloth,
for a first car.
But nice textured cloth, cool seats. Mate, 150 brake horsepower is your first car, 6-speed, manual. Great little car. I loved that car.
I remember you used to go on about that steering wheel. You used to love the steering wheel, didn't you?
I think so, yeah.
It was
as a first car, mate. That
as
body
a 17-year-old,
amazing.
It was a cool car.
It was really cool. Ultimately, the cam belt went on it. And so I had that for 4 years. 4 years.
Does feel
like that car for.
Does feel like you had it a while.
I had that car 4 years, and I loved it for all those 4 years. And then I thought the next step, obviously, is a 987 Cayman S.
It's natural. It's natural progression.
Cambo went on it, and I thought, fuck it.
Yeah.
I've got an opportunity to buy a car.
Yeah.
Couldn't really afford it, but did my maths, made it work.
And how old were you when you bought that?
20? 21?
20. And how much was the insurance a month?
Oh. The first 3 months were ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then
did it go down
I managed to get another quote and it halved. And so I cancelled that when I did that one because it was so much cheaper. So then it was still ridiculous. I got it down to $3,000 a year. And then it was okay.
It's not even that bad for that age.
No. But and to be fair, I couldn't afford to do it, so I ran it for those months, and then I sawned it and cancelled the insurance because I wasn't using it. I couldn't afford to just sit there for that much money and not be used. So I cancelled the insurance, and I mean I could, but I just couldn't. It's so much money with the tax insurance. I shouldn't really bought it. I'm so glad I did, but I shouldn't have bought it because technically I couldn't
you shouldn't have.
It was ridiculous.
It worked out.
But it was the best thing ever. I was so glad I did it. I was so happy.
It was one of them when you turn.
It was a bit ridiculous.
I'd never really looked up or been in one in person, and when you bought it, I was like, oh, it's mine came. That's a nice car. Like, and then you turn. I remember I was at your parents, and you turned up after you bought it, and I was like, fucking hell, this is
a game changer.
Just like this innocent 20-year-old just sat in this Cayman with these fucking
how I never got pulled over, I do not know. But
that was bonkers,
and it was crazy next level because it just felt like a proper car. The leather, I mean, I love the looks of it now. Still got it now, and how many years ago is that now? That's over 4 years ago. There's a strange story. So because it was so expensive to insure and to tax, I sawned it, and I didn't want to run it over the winter and ruin it. So I sawned it, and I had it on my parents' drive, but I clamped it, so it couldn't go anywhere. I'm pretty sure I disconnected the battery. So because I wasn't going to use it, I couldn't, and I'd connect the battery at once a month. I'd take the clamp off and I'd take it through the park.
Oh yeah.
The like deer park and stuff where we could drive and it didn't have to be insured and stuff. So that's fine. So I'd run it once a month, make sure it was fine. Over the 5 months that I didn't use it, 5-6 months I didn't use it. But in order to still be able to get places, I bought a Mark III MX-5 to keep me going.
So did you have them two cars at the same time?
At the same time.
I didn't realise that.
So, yeah, because I didn't want to run the Porsche.
I thought you were going to say that.
No. I had that.
Right.
But then I had the accident on it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't touch it. I still haven't ridden it since the accident. No, and that was 2019.
Oh my God.
It's fixed and everything.
2019.
Yeah. So then I bought the car in 2019 September. And I was feeling sorry for myself. It's half the reason why I probably bought the Porsche. And January 2020, just before COVID hit, I bought the Porsche. I thought I'm going to do all these amazing European road trips, etc. And then COVID hit. Then came the winter and I sawned it. I bought an MX-5 after selling a motocross bike. And I used that money to buy the MX-5 because I sold the motocross bike for $2,500 and I bought the MX-5 for $2,000, I want to say. And then I could afford to put some wheels on it. So then I bought the MX-5 NC Mark III 2007 with 117,000 miles on it. And I did loads of upgrades. So
one old lady owner.
Bought from one lady owner. And she had a photo with the car on the drive as it was leaving. She was gutted to sell it.
Oh,
she
really?
loved that car.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. And then I ruined it. So it had lowering springs on it.
Yeah.
High-back lowering springs. Bigger wheels. Obviously tyres, both wider and bigger offset. Then a roll bar, a Cobra Monaco Pro bucket seat and TRS harness. Yeah. There's a few other things that I did. And then I tracked it and I used it as my winter daily. This is MX-5 that I pull out of every junction sideways. It was so much fun. I loved that car. I had that for about 18 months. Ran the Porsche again for another 6 months in the summer.
Right.
And didn't really use the MX-5.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to be sensible as I was in a relationship at that point for, I don't know, a year or so. And I thought, about a year. And we're looking to buy somewhere. Sounds really early on.
Yeah.
But looking to buy somewhere. So I sold the Porsche.
Yeah.
COVID was a blur, doesn't it? COVID was such a blur. We'd had basically a year of that. Year of COVID. So I sold the Porsche to buy a house and be really sensible and put it down as a deposit. Anyway, with COVID, it was a nightmare. We had so many issues and I kept the Mazda and did loads of track days in it all across the country and fantastic.
Yeah.
It was at about 140, no, it might have been over 150,000 miles at this point on the Mazda. I did some serious mileage in it because I couldn't afford to do anything else. So I drove it to track days, like to Cadwell and stuff, to Anglesey.
I mean, you ticked off quite a few track days with those.
Yeah, it was great.
You look back and think that's well worth it, you know.
It's cheap, the price of track days now. So much cheaper back then.
Really?
Yeah. So I got really lucky. I did it in a really good window.
Yeah.
So then I sold the Porsche, had the Mazda for ages, and we kept trying to buy a house, and it just kept falling through. It was a nightmare with COVID or whatever. It didn't work out. Got round to January, February 2023, and I just missed the Porsche so much. And I sold the Mazda in the January, so I wasn't using it anymore. And
you had the 3 Series then, didn't you?
Then we bought a 1 Series.
Oh my God, the 1 Series.
We had a 2006 1 Series.
I thought you only bought the Porsche. Yeah.
No, we had a 2006 1 Series, and then we bought my parents' 325D touring off them.
Great car.
That was an amazing car. So that was 3 litre twin turbo. Amazing.
Twin turbo?
Twin turbo. Or is it single turbo?
Twin scroll turbo.
I don't know. Either way. 3 litre diesel. Great car. Fantastic. So we had that for a while. And we had the 2 Beamers at one point. And then we got rid of the 1 Series. So Amy would have the 3 Series.
Yeah.
And I, in the March, bought the Porsche back off the guy I sold it to. And he'd done something like in 18 months, 180 miles.
Really?
He just hadn't used it, hadn't done nothing, it had been garage stored. And it still had, there's certain things that I'd accidentally left in the pocket. There's a CD that you gave me in my first ever car, the Audi, that I'd then put in the Porsche. It was still in there. Yeah. It was just, and so I went to see it again, and I couldn't. And then we actually bought a house in September. I was like, oh shit, I bought the car back. Luckily, I was in less of a stressful financial position when I first had the Porsche, and I was able to keep it. I've still got it now, and that's been 2 years in March. It'll be
2 years already. Again, fucking hell.
So yeah, so I've still got that. Man. We got rid of the 3 Series, and we've got Tesla Model Y, which is another talk and episode in series that we can talk about that and why we've gone down that route.
I'll allow it because you still got the Porsche.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Hopefully, I'll just be able to keep that forever. Because technically, it was the first car I ever bought. I was lucky to have the A3 as my first car. So realistically, it's the first car I bought. And so it was really nice to have it back. And I've done several miles in that car, and everything that's gone wrong, I've now fixed.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic, and I love it, and it's amazing. And I'd love to do some videos, and I'd love to use it. So, in a long-winded way, that's our car history.
So, if you could summarise from what we've discussed today, what goals aside, perfect world, where would you end up
with this? If we could do anything with this,
perfect scenario,
perfect world, perfect scenario. Summarising isn't my strong suit. I'm dyslexic and not very good at getting words out. ChatGPT is my friend. To try and summarise, I would say I would love to experience as many cars in as many different categories, in as many different places, with as many different people as I can. Explore, enjoy, indulge, and experience everything I can, from ownership to different roads and trips and challenges, and be super, super diverse, meet amazing people, and be able to fill my calendar up full time with playing with cars and experiencing and enjoying it with loads of different people around the world.
Yeah, I think the travel element can't be underestimated in terms of how good that would be.
We kind of touched on it earlier as well, is the well-rounded self-indulgence of all the things that we love. It's really selfish to, selfishly just try and incorporate everything that I enjoy in a hobby and wrap it up into one. From the music, from filming, to the talking about it, to meeting people, to traveling, and ultimately experiencing lots of different cars and creating amazing memories in them is probably a good way of summarising and really inspire others to love and enjoy, especially young generation, because there's so many things that inspired me. I'd like to do the same and let other people experience things that perhaps for us, like, we don't have access to certain cars and experiences. I'd like to open that up to more people, is probably where I'm at. Yeah.
Tom will be doing hot laps at McDonald's in his Cayman whenever you are.
Mate, do you know what we should do? We should do a little series on the McFlurry run. So it's been a really important part of our lives since our driving world. Any single car we get our hands on, whether it's a car that we've had for a very short period of time, or that especially if we've owned, we basically do our review of any car that we've ever had as part of a Mackey's run.
Maybe we should make a series
McFlurry run. I think we could do a little series because it incorporates everything from the drive to the sound system to practicality.
Yeah.
How well,
tight spaces.
That's our test run. Is the McFlurry run. Yeah. So we might be able to incorporate that. So we'll see. Yourself?
Yeah, I think travel's important and something I want to jump on board. But I think it's just opening doors, having an excuse to drive stupid cars and do stupid things with stupid cars.
You came up with a very good summary. We got about 46 minutes in and the camera failed. But so we're recapping on a certain few bits. But you summarise it really, really well.
Yeah. Basically just real life Forza Horizon would be the perfect scenario. The goal, Why is that not a thing?
Why is that not a thing?
Festival, cars,
travel, people.
Maybe not in England. The weather's not good enough.
Yeah, but you kind of do a trip down to wherever it is. There is certain things that kind of cross that, don't they? Like Sam, Seen Through Glass, Behind the Glass. They're doing tours now, aren't they? Yeah. We should try and get on one of them. Yeah. That's what we should do. I might not be able to afford it, but we should try and get one of them. And Modball, they do quite a good trip, tour, supercars.
It's more of a road trip,
festivals. Isn't it? Yeah. They do quite a good job of
just that ethos.
Yeah.
Of like just fucking going through it with cars.
And don't you think there's so much that's being put down by regulations, by law, legislation, general vibe and feel towards it, and then that's restricting the output of cars that are exciting. So let's bring that back.
I agree.
Let's bring it back. We've lived through potentially the best 20, 25 years of the motor car.
Yeah.
So let's look at it like a catalogue and let's start going through it and experiencing it. Let's go through the catalogue and work out what the best scenarios it could possibly enjoy each and every car and make that happen is what I'd love to do. Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, there are no goals really, but...
No, I mean, we've got our own personal goals that we'd love to do that aren't going to change. And if this helps us do them, whether that be certain ownership of cars or experiences, and it pushes us to go and do those, then great. But they were going to be there nonetheless.
Yeah.
I think we've covered quite a lot of ground there.
It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Future episodes are going to be a bit more structured. They're going to have certain talking or topic points and news and other bits. This is episode 1. We are officially calling it that. Although I have said before, calling it a podcast on episodes does sound like it gives us way more credit than we deserve at this point and sounds quite official. But we just love doing this. Yeah. And so we're trying to take it to that next level, I guess, and just use it as an excuse to do more of it, and hopefully it'll open doors to do more and more. So future episodes are going to be a bit more structured. Hopefully the camera's worked again.
Yeah.
If you are watching and listening, thank you very much. I can't imagine anybody tuned in, let alone has hung on for an hour or however
that would be
long
impressive.
We're in for.
Yeah.
So thank you if you have. Stay tuned in. We're going to hopefully do some really cool stuff. It's going to be really fun.
Bear with us whilst we learn and improve and find confidence to be in front of a camera.
Yeah, man.
It's all a learning process. We'll get there in the end.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
right. Thank you very much.